Now, personally, I think this is a really important point. We put so much faith in science and technology nowadays, right? We all use these computers all the time, these mobile phones, which are really mini computers. But what Turing showed us is that there's limits to computability. And in the case of the halting problem, you don't know ahead of time whether the computer's actually going to stop with a solution or go on forever. You cannot predict it ahead of time. It's fundamentally impossible to know when you set a computer on a task if it's going to somehow go into a loop or just never find a solution. And that should really give us some pause here, because we often think that there's a huge amount of power to the data processing tools we have nowadays. I mean, it's really quite incredible, the power you have in the palm of your hand, It's greater computing power than the astronauts had in their computer when they went to the moon by a large magnitude. But still, there are limits to this. There's the incompleteness, which is built into any formal logical system. And what that means is we don't know what's going on exactly. That's okay, because in a lot of these subjects we're looking at, we don't know what's going on. So let's just admit it and get to the next step. We can't get to the next step of understanding this very complex phenomena, specifically UFOs, UAPs, ETs, unless we accept that there are already limits in our system. If we're always going to be crunching all of these new types of information into old systems, we're just going to be putting, new wine into old wineskins. It's just never going to give us what we want. And that's why incompleteness, Turing, and the work of Kurt Gödel is so important. Now, speaking about intuition, there is a lot of evidence, not even just from RV work, but just from recent studies that show that human intuition can be more accurate than logic. There's the work of the German economist Gerd Gigerenzer, who actually was the one who inspired Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink, which is a kind of a popularization of those ideas. But Gigerenzer did a lot of work to show that people's snap judgments about many things can often be more accurate than a logical approach. And, just in terms of creativity, what Chaitin is talking about, we've all heard of examples where human intuition, spontaneous intuition, can create completely new and powerful ideas. Think of the work of the German chemist Kerkula, who apparently said that he conceived of the benzene ring while he was having a daydream, and he saw kind of the Ouroboros, the snake eating its tail, and that gave him the idea for this six-structured benzene molecule. So from just even somatic responses, the way that your body responds to ideas and how intuition flows through your body, we can see that in many examples. George Soros once said that he followed his intuition. He had something like a pain in his back. He would kind of watch it before he made decisions, kind of feel how it was. And Morita, one of the founders of Sony, one of the co-CEOs of Sony, said that he would swallow decisions and see how they digested. And those are kind of intuitive approaches. There are many other examples of that. Just think of Nikola Tesla. I mean, this is someone who could just imagine new devices in his mind, right? He could just imagine the technologies he was creating, kind of move them around in his mind. And he said the images were so strong that he wasn't sure if they were in our reality or not. And that's very interesting for someone that invented alternating current and a host of other technologies that are now part of our electronics, Tesla coils and things like this. I'm not even talking about the Tesla car company. I'm just talking about the things that actually he created. And that is based, it wasn't based on scientific rigor the way we think about it. Tesla was just an intuitive genius. There's also another famous case of Singer, the inventor of the sewing machine. And he said, allegedly, that he got this idea for threading the needle at the far end from having a dream of Indians fighting with bows and arrows. And in that dream, he saw a vision of the thread being put in the other side of the needle. So even very unstructured situations like dreams at night can have a very strong logic to them and show us creative solutions to things that we've been working on during the day. So I'm not saying that intuition is always 100% accurate, but it's often a very good complement to logic. And in certain circumstances, and you know this from my other videos, I mean, it shows that, again, that these possibilities already exist in a potential space, a parallel reality. It fits in very neatly to the way we think of potentials in quantum mechanics. They exist, and sometimes some people are open enough, very good remote viewers, Joe McMonagle, others, Ingo Swann, who can use this type of intuition to really access some other type of signal. Now, I'm not saying that RV is completely based on intuition, but it has a lot of similarities to that. And certainly some of the ways that the information comes to you seems to come in the form of intuition. The whole idea of what's called embodied cognition is that the way that you think about things is based on the reality of a body. And you can't really think properly without a body. And there's a lot of experiments that psychologists do to show that people do think with their bodies, and they're more accurate in the way they think because we have a sensory apparatus. That thinking doesn't exist outside of our physical shape. Again, getting back into shape, frequency, fractal dimensions, and all that. So embodied cognition shows us that, again, just like Kurt Gödel showed and Alan Turing, you can't really separate analysis. There is no pure logic apart from the context that it's in.